Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today we start an article that is really important because the situation around the world in terms of rivers and dams and reservoirs and so on in some places and at some times is getting very seriously low. And this article will point out several places in the world where they're having trouble having enough water. That's why we call this article Droughts Reveal Surprises Beneath Rivers.
好，我们的中文标题是干旱显露出河流底下的惊人秘密。好，那 droughts 就是干旱，那 reveal 就是显露或者透露，那 surprises 就是让你很惊讶的事情，那这些让你很惊讶的事情都是 beneath rivers， 就在河底下的意思。
Okay, I'll read through these 4 paragraphs first, as we always do, and then we'll get busy explaining them to you. China has been simultaneously suffering from a severe heat wave and one of its worst droughts in recent memory. As a result, the water level of the Yangtze River, the longest in China, and a vital source of fresh water and hydroelectric power, has been rapidly dropping. An unintended consequence of the low water levels is the revelation of 600-year-old Buddhist statues. The 3 statues were discovered on an island reef in the middle of the Yangtze River near the city of Chongqing. Experts estimate that the statues were created during either the Ming or Qing dynasties. The largest of the 3 statues features a 3-foot-tall Buddhist monk sitting on a lotus pedestal. Like much of the rest of the world, Europe is experiencing its worst drought in a long time. This has resulted in forest fires raging in some places around the continent, and many crucial rivers dropping to dangerously low levels. With the rivers at such low levels, people are discovering various interesting artifacts previously hidden below the surface of the water. In Spain, the dolmen of Guadalperro, dubbed the Spanish Stonehenge, has been exposed. This ancient site was first submerged in 1963 due to flooding after a reservoir was constructed. While in Germany, hunger stones have emerged on the banks of the receding Rhine River. The stones are a tradition of Central Europe and commemorate periods of hardship like famines. They also act as low-level water warning signs.
Okay, so China has been simultaneously, that means at the same time, suffering from 2 things. A severe heat wave, meaning that there has been a series of very high temperatures, and one of its worst droughts. A drought is a lack of water in recent memory. And these things are, of course, related because if things are too hot, you're not going to get rain.
好，所以呢，一开始他讲说，这个中国has been 这个是个现在完成式，而且不只是现在完成，后面还有个 suffering， 所以是现在完成进行式，就是已经有一段时间的都受这个所苦。受什么所苦呢？ simultaneously 这个首先他修饰他这个副词修饰这个 suffering from。那 simultaneous 是同时的意思。那个 simul 那个字根呢，字首就是 together 的意思。那个 tame 就是 time， 你有没有觉得这个 tame 跟 time 声音很像啊？然后呢，那个 simul 有没有听起来很像 same 那种感觉？好，所以这同一个时间same time， 你这样可以帮助你记这个字。所以 simultaneously 它同时的 suffering from 就因什么所苦。那它受什么所苦呢？受到一个 severe 就是一个很严厉的、很严重的、令人难以忍受的这个 heat wave， 就是热浪。那一方面是热浪，另外一方面呢是 one of its worst droughts， 是它最糟糕的干旱 in recent memory， 就是在近期的记忆当中，就是大家记忆在最近几十年来好像很少有这么糟糕的这么严重的干旱。
As a result of the heat wave and the lack of rain, the droughts, the water level of the Yangtze River, the longest in China, and a vital source of fresh water and hydroelectric power, has been rapidly dropping. If this long, important river, the Yangtze River, is affected by the heat and the drought, and if it's a vital source of fresh water, many people who live along this very, very long river need the water from the river for washing, for drinking, for cleaning, for their boats if they're fishing, and so on. Also, for hydroelectric power. There are places along the Yangtze River where they have built dams to control the water, to generate or create electric power called hydroelectric power. The water level of the river has been rapidly dropping, decreasing. There's less and less water because of the heat and the droughts.
好，所以呢，接下来讲 as a result， 结果是怎么样呢？是 the water level 啊，这个水位，什么的水位呢？这个扬子江，也就是长江的水位。然后呢，在长江后面有一个同位语，长江是什么东西呢？首先，它是 the longest in China， 它是中国最长的一条河 ，and 它也是一个 a vital source of fresh water， 它也是个 vital source。Vital 是极为重要的，攸关生死的一个 source of fresh water。它是什么的来源呢？首先是一个淡水的来源 fresh water， 它同时也是一个 hydroelectric power 电力的来源，因为显然靠这个长江发电，所以它重要的淡水来源啊，非常重要的淡水来源，也是很重要的水力发电的来源啊。那同时它又是中国最长的河。好，那这些都是修饰这个长江。这个句子的主词是那个水位 the water level。所以它真正的动词在后面 has been rapidly dropping， 它的水位很快速的在下降当中。
An unintended consequence of the low water levels is the revelation of 600-year-old Buddhist statues, plural. I'm wondering, is there an intended consequence of the low water levels? Calling it an unintended consequence is kind of strange if there's not going to be any possibility of intended consequences, but unintended means you didn't mean to do it, and consequence means that's what happened. So you didn't mean for this to happen. But we didn't mean to have low water levels to begin with. But nevertheless, what we got was a new 600-year-old Buddhist statue.
那我们看到这个句子叫做 an unintended consequence 一个意外的结果。刚刚 Angela 老师讲很有趣就是如果没有所谓的 intended consequence 那就应该不用讲 unintended consequence。当然这里 unintended 加在这里就是特别强调了。
I just realized it should have said unexpected consequence, like 没有期待的。
所以这个地方其实用 unexpected consequence 会更好一点。
Is a much better choice, yeah.
就是因为那就是真的完全是出乎意料，因为 intend 是有意要做的，那叫 intend。所以你说 unexpected 就是你本来没想到，怎么会突然变这样子？那你可以讲 unexpected consequence。那用 unintended 的话，这个就有一点点蛮有趣的，就是好像你是没有计划当中所产生的一个 consequence。好，所以 unintended anyway 这个字大家可以学起来，还有 unplanned 或者 not intended 的意思。所以有一个结果，就大家原来都没想到的一个结果。还有 consequence 通常是它通常是一个比较负面的结果。如果是 result 它可能是好的，可能是不好的。那 consequence 常常会让人觉得比较是负面一点。好，然后呢，所以这个 low water levels 这个低的水位，那各位还要注意到这个低水位它的 level 有加 s， 因为你可以想这个低水位在这里是不止一次，所以不会只有一个低水位，它可能是今天是这样低，明天又稍微低了一点，后天又更低了一点，所以是好几个 levels。所以这个低水位的无意造成的后果或结果就是怎么样？就是 the revelation of 就是显露出了一个600年历史的佛像。
Next paragraph. The 3 statues were discovered on an island reef in the middle of the Yangtze River near the city of Chongqing. So now we learned that there are 3 of these Buddhist statues. They were found on an island reef. A reef is usually below the water level. In the ocean, it is an area where many fish and other kinds of life are in abundance. That's where fish go to lay their eggs. It's full of life. And this is in the middle of the Yangtze River, which is fresh water. But there's no reason you cannot have an island or an island reef in the middle of a lake or in the middle of a river. But when we see the word reef, we normally think of ocean, simply because most of the water in the world is in oceans, not in rivers and islands. Anyway, if you know where Chongqing is along the Yangtze River, that's where these 3 statues have been found.
好，所以这3尊佛像呢 were discovered 被发现在哪里呢？在一个 island reef 就是岛礁哈 ，island 是岛 ，reef 是礁哈。当然我们通常想到礁石是想到海洋，不过有水的地方其实也就会有礁哈。那这个是在长江的中间 ，in the middle of the Yangtze River。那这是在靠近重庆市的地方。
Experts estimate that the statues were created during either the Ming or Qing dynasties. So either or, they could have been this or that, either during this or that time. So if you estimate, it means that you sort of figure out based on clues. They don't exactly know, but they kind of know.
好，也就是估计的意思。所以专家们估计这些雕像呢 were created 被创作，大概是什么时候呢？大概是要么就是明朝，要么就是清朝。
The largest of the 3 statues features a 3-foot-tall Buddhist monk sitting on a lotus pedestal. So 3 statues are now out of the water because the water has fallen so far, and one of them stands out. It's a 3-foot-tall, about a 1-meter-tall carved Buddhist monk who is sitting on a lotus pedestal. Lotus is the water lily, and a pedestal is a platform or chair-like piece of furniture that you sit on. It sounds like something very cute or very special. I would love to see a picture of this.
Yeah, really.
所以这3个雕像里面的最大的那一个 features 就是以什么为特色，就是它特别雕的就是一个3尺高的一个佛教的僧侣，他是坐在一个莲花座哈，这个 lotus pedestal 就是我们讲的莲花座，那个 pedestal 那个 ped 啊就是 foot 就是脚的意思，那个 es 啊或者是 de 哈就是 of 的意思，然后呢那个 tal 就是 seat seat 或者是 stall stall 好，所以都跟底有关系，跟基有关系，好，所以叫基座，莲花的基座。
So now we're switching focus. We were talking about this river in China. Now we're talking about a different river. And so it starts off by saying, like much of the rest of the world, Europe is experiencing its worst drought in a long time.
好，我们可以看到这句他说就好像 much of the rest of the world 就是跟世界其他大部分地区一样，欧洲 is experiencing 就是它也正在经历最糟糕的干旱哈 the worst drought in a long time 就很长的一段时间里面最糟糕的一次最惨的一次干旱。
This situation just mentioned about the droughts in Europe, this has resulted in forest fires raging in some places around the continent. So the lack of water, the high heat has created or allowed forests to burn. Forest fires raging has the idea they're burning out of control around the continent, from Russia all the way over to Western Europe, a huge area, lots and lots of forest fires, and, in addition, many crucial rivers, important rivers, dropping to dangerously low levels, just as we learned about the Yangtze.
好，然后呢，他说 This has resulted in 这导致了什么呢 ？Forest fires 就是森林大火、森林火灾。那这些森林火灾怎么样 ？Raging 中文翻成肆虐。那英文里面 raging 感觉起来就是它很强，好 forcefully， 然后呢是 out of control 哈，已经失去控制了，然后有 great violence 很厉害的样子，好，所以叫肆虐。所以这些火灾啊非常厉害，烧得很厉害，大家几乎无法控制了。好，那他说 in some places around the continent 就是欧洲大陆，所以欧洲大陆有些地方现在有很严重的森林火灾。然后呢，很多 crucial 就是很重要的河流啊 rivers 怎么样呢？Dropping to dangerously low levels， 他们的水位降到那种危险的低的程度。好，那各位注意到这个句型啊 ，This has resulted in 加一个名词 forest fires， 然后后面加一个分词片语来修饰它啊 ，forest fires raging in some places around the continent。然后呢，第二个名词 many crucial rivers， 后面一样加一个分词片语来修饰它。 many crucial rivers 怎么样呢 dropping to dangerously low levels.
With the rivers at such low levels, so this is another way of saying because the rivers are at such low levels. It's a different grammar pattern to just introduce the idea of that, okay, since this is true, this is what's happening. So with this fact, people are discovering various interesting artifacts. Artifacts are things that we don't know how to say what they are. So these
it's usually human-made.
Human-made things that we don't know how to say what they are. So these artifacts were previously hidden below the surface of the water.
好，所以呢 with 就是表示一个附带的状况啊，所以常常用来表示一个原因啊，一个环境。所以在这样的情形之下呢 the rivers 这些河啊 at such low levels 这么水位这么低的河流呢，现在状况就是河流水位这么低，所以呢人们 are discovering 他们正在不断的发现 are discovering 就是还没有结束，他们还正在发现 various interesting artifacts 不同的有趣的这个 artifacts 就是人造的文物，那这些东西呢是 which were 省略掉了 which were previously 先前是 hidden 藏在 below the surface of the water 藏在水面底下。
Now let's look at the final paragraph. In Spain, so we know we're still in Europe, the dolmen of Guadalperal, dubbed the Spanish Stonehenge, has been exposed. There are more questions here than answers in the first sentence, but we're going to fill in. What we do know is that the dolmen of Guadalperal in Spain is called the Spanish Stonehenge. Stonehenge is in England and is a circle, concentric circles, actually, a circle within another circle of very, very large and heavy stones that can show people the first day of winter. That seems to be why they were built. How they were built is still a question. But anyway, the Stonehenge in Spain has been exposed. We're talking about dropping water levels. Things used to be underwater, now they're not, so we can say that they have been exposed by the receding or dropping water level.
好，所以在西班牙呢有一个东西啊，叫这个西班牙文之后，他就跟你讲 dubbed 就是被称为 the Spanish Stonehenge 就是西班牙的巨石阵啊，这个 Stonehenge 就是巨石阵，本来在英国的。那这个东西呢 has been exposed 它被暴露在大众的眼前。这 expose ex 就是 out 嘛，那 pose 就是 position， 所以它的位置放到外面呢，就让大家看到了，就是暴露或者暴露的意思。
Now, this ancient site was first submerged or put underwater. Like, when you talk about submerging, though, it's like, in this case, it's
the river is rising.
Yeah, it's because the water level is rising. It's like a very permanent condition. So it was first put underwater in 1963 due to flooding after a reservoir was constructed. This is not accidental flooding, like because it rained too much. This is a permanent flood because they basically built a water reservoir and the Stonehenge was inside it. And so, of course, it got flooded, but basically it got submerged.
好，所以这个古老的 site 是这个位置啊，这个古老的一个巨石阵呢 was first 首先是在1963年的时候被 submerged 被淹没。好，这个 submerge 这个字根呢，这个 sub 是 under 的意思啊，这个 merge 就是 sink in 啊，或者是 plunge 啊 plunge 好像把它丢到水里面啊，跳到水里面那种感觉。所以大家记得 sub 就是在什么底下，所以 submerge 就是淹过去了啊，那就叫 submerge。那我们等一下会看到其他的跟 merge 有关的字啊，那我们可以到时候再看。那这个地方它被淹没是 due to 是因为 flooding 这个字可以指洪水泛滥，但是也可以指 to submerge with water 也就是用水去淹没。那在这里不是洪水泛滥，这里其实就是用水淹没了。为什么呢？因为这是在一个水库 reservoir was constructed 他们盖了一个水库，所以呢这个地方就被水库的蓄水所淹没了，这个叫做这里的 flooding。
So, while in Germany, hunger stones have emerged on the banks of the receding Rhine River. So I actually read about this even before we got to the article. It's stones that have been carved with messages that are like, if the water level gets down to here, you're in trouble. You're going to starve.
Yeah, 所以这个地方呢，它这个很有趣。他说在德国呢，有一个叫 hunger stones 啊，一个饥饿之石，它怎么样呢 ？have emerged， 它浮出来的，好，或者是 显现出来的，从水里面出现的。emerge 跟我们刚刚的 submerge 正好相反，那 E 是 out， 所以 submerge 是 under 水面底下，那 emerge 是跑出水面。你如果记这个字首的话，这两个字就不会搞错了。E 就是出来了，所以就看到了，那所以它浮出来了。在 on the banks of 在什么的河岸上呢？在这个 receding 就是往后退的，那个 re 是 back， 那个 ced 是 go 的意思，所以就是 go back 就是往后退的。那另外一个字大家应该也知道，叫 proceed， 正好相反 proceed 是前进，因为 pro 是 forward， 所以 proceed 就是 go forward，recede 就是 go backwards 那你这样记的话，这两个字就可以记起来了。所以 receding 就是那个水位不断往下退的莱茵河。
The stones are a tradition of Central Europe and commemorate periods of hardship like famines. We're talking about those German hunger stones. Germany can be considered either Western or Central Europe.And the purpose of the stones is to commemorate. They will remind future generations that there used to be, or maybe still are, periods of hardship. Hardship is difficulty, like famines when there is not enough food for everyone to eat.
好，所以这些石头呢是一个中欧的 tradition, a tradition of Central Europe. 然后他们 commemorate 或者 commemorate 就是纪念。他们会纪念 periods of hardship， 就是一段一段很艰苦的时间。hardship 就是艰困的时间，例如怎么样？饥荒的时候。
And they also act as low-level water warning signs, like if you can see it, uh-oh.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, warning signs 就是警告的一些标志，所以这些石头呢也可以 act as 就是具有什么作用呢？ Low-level water 就是这个低水位的 warning signs， 看到这个表示水位已经太低了。
Okay, we have just a few questions for you. The first of which is, when do experts estimate the Buddha statues in the Yangtze River were carved?
专家们估计长江中的佛像是何时雕塑的？
The answer is B, around or about 600 years ago.
答案是 B， 大概600年前。
And number 2, what is an unexpected result of the drought in Europe? What happened because of the drought in Europe that no one thought would happen?
在欧洲，干旱出人意料之外的结果是什么呢？
The answer is C. Ancient carvings have been revealed in rivers.
古代的雕刻在河流中显露出来。
And number 3, Judy spots something special in the river, on which there is an inscription that translates to, "If you see me, weep." It's used to commemorate a hard time in history, according to the passage, where most likely is Judy.
好，我们题目是说 Judy 在河里面发现了一些特别的东西，上面有一段铭文，翻译之后的意思是，如果你看到我，请哭泣。那它被用来纪念或者记住这个历史上的一段艰困的时间。根据本文，朱棣现在可能在哪里呢？
Well, the answer is A, the Rhine River in Germany.
答案是 A, 德国的莱茵河。
Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Until the next time,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.